Go. There we go. All right, folks, let's get this party started. Welcome to the Silver Creek Amateur Radio Association Club meeting. Yes, Nick?
Where's Gary?
Gary's not here.
It's an ungodly hour.
Gary has COVID. He discovered this morning, and rather than come and infect all of you like he wanted to, we talked him out of it. So, but this is Gary's artwork here, and I think we all know who the buzzard and the goat are. See who's driving the bus tonight. That was a little foretelling. And who's that happy character sticking his head out of the top of the barn there? I don't know. All right, well, welcome to our February meeting. Yeah, there we go. Sarah and friends, the best looking hams in the hobby and the nicest too. Do we have any new folks here tonight? Anybody we don't know? Way back there. Stand up, say hi. Hi. What's your call sign and name, and say hi.
AA3CS? Oh boy.
Oh man, an Alpha Alpha 8 and Alpha Alpha. Oh.
Real familiar.
All right. Yeah, that's gonna be fun. Welcome to the show. Nice to meet you. I'm Nick, KD8SLG. Anybody else? Let's see. I saw Harry was here last month. Harry, welcome back. KE8ZZR. Who else is new? There's a character over here with a beard. Where'd he go? No, that's Tim. Tim, does everybody know KZ8TG? Tim? Yeah, everybody should know you. Stand up and say hi.
I know him on the radio.
Yeah, there you go.
8 in the morning.
Dark and early every morning. Well, nice to meet you, sir. Welcome to the show. And Tim, nice to meet you again. All right, what do we got for announcement? Nor's Winterfest, Sunday, March 10th. Be there or be square. They've been good friends of ours. Seafark Hamfest, Saturday, April 13th. Obviously, it's Hamfest season. Our next Sarah-sponsored VE session event is Saturday, April 6th. Stefan, is that one? That one's in Sharon Center, right? Okay. There you go. Do you want to take a second now and tell us about the latest session?
Well, the latest session.
Hold on, I got to give him the talking stick. There you go.
Look at that. Ladies and gentlemen, the talking stick. Nice. I like that. It's like ham radio, updated. But anyways, we did the Wayne County guys. Thank you guys for letting us come down and do the session with you guys. And we do the February and August session in Wayne County. We had 4 people that came to the Wayne session. We had like 10 that were signed up, but four came. And then we were packing up and heading out, and then Gary called me because he said, "Oh, can you come down to our house because Scott's crying? Hey, I'm going to take my general." But thanks, Scott, because you actually passed. Scott passed. We did it at Gary's house because we did it with Jason. We did it with Jason, myself, and Gary. We cloistered him into the kitchen, and he sat at the little island table. We secluded him, and then we said, "Hey, you passed for $50." No, we didn't say that. But he did a great job, and Jason just shared that he went live this week, so his call sign is, he doesn't have to slash nothing anymore. Tires or AG, nothing like that. So we are going to have our next session again at the Sharon Center United Methodist Church in Sharon Center, right at the square, not the Lutheran Church, but the one when you're heading toward the Sheets, that one on the right or left-hand side. That's it. Here's the magic microphone. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stefan. And Scott Yonley sends his regards by way of Jerry. When did you see Scott?
You're supposed to call him. According to Gary's directions, you're supposed to call on Jerry to speak.
Oh, Jerry, please speak. Here, the talking stick.
Last Saturday over at Mansfield at the Richland County Fairgrounds, served on the meeting team with Scott Yonley.
I didn't get the meeting.
He asked me to pass on to everyone. He says hello. He has not forgotten about us. He wishes he could be here, but he had something
Anything
else
else
he
I
had to
need to
do. So he sends his regards, and
Okay.
it was great to see Scott. So that's it.
Everybody know who Scott is, I'm sure. Okay, yeah, we should be good.
Okay. Good deal. All right, thank you very much, Jerry. And anybody else have any other announcements? Quick scan. Done. All right. Meeting minutes. Mike Shafter. Mike does the best meeting minutes I've ever read. He does them by the second, I think. Where are you there, Mike? There we go. He sent them out. Hopefully everybody already looked at them. So does anybody have any discrepancies or anything to say about the meeting minutes? No? Mike, do you have anything to add?
I am just going to say, be sure to sign the sign-in sheet because, I actually.
All right. If the sign-up sheet is out there about, please fill it in so we get a good head count, right, Mike? All right. There we go. Pass that around. Thank you very much. I guess we have to have a motion to accept the minutes. All right. Jason first, Dustin second. Thank you very much. Moving right along. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Anybody say nay? All right. All right, Jeff, have at it. You got the talking stick? All
I
right.
do have the talking stick. All right. Statement beginning balance 4319.45. We did have inbound money 50-50 raffle. Sarah memberships. Thank you very much for everybody that has joined or renewed or a new membership. We did have testing session payment and reimbursement, those two. A little bit for additional build project material, and also our monthly all-star hosting, leaving a ending balance of 4682.66.
Good deal. Thank you very much, sir.
So moved to accept the treasurer's report.
Accept the treasurer's report.
Aye.
All right. Who was first? Who was second? What's on second? Stop it. All right. So a little reminder, it is that time of the year to pay dues. I know I'm jumping ahead onto the next slide, I think. There should have been. All right.
I thought there was going to be, but there is not.
Okay. Well, it is dues time of the year. When do dues roll over?
Yeah, so this goes with the, here, I'll take the talking stick. So this does go with the election, so I'll just take over the floor here since I was doing this slide anyway, if that's all right with you. So Sarah's fiscal and governance year, I guess, is April 1st through March 31st. So some of you have already paid your dues. Thank you very much for that. But your membership in the club does expire on March 31st. So we are essentially in the dues are due time. The way the club works, we ask everybody to get their money in by April 1st. That never happens. We don't kick anybody out on April 2nd. You will get removed from the roster in June if you don't pay. And some group of us will send you emails asking you why you haven't paid. But you can renew online. If you go to the Join or Renew, there's a Join or Renew link in the menu. It'll ask you to update your information. Just say, I'm renewing my membership. It sends us the information just so we can make sure nothing's changed on the roster. You'll be prompted to pay. You can pay online using a credit card or PayPal. That's the preferred way to pay. If not, the treasurer does accept dead tree-based money in the form of bills and checks. You can pay at the meeting. But doing it online is the easiest and quickest way to do it. We'll have more about that obviously next week or next month. I mean, the other thing is we are We do have officer elections. Officer elections will be held at the March meeting. That's our bylaws requirement, and the officers will be in those offices April 1st for a term of 1 year, ending on March 31st. Right now, Gary, Glary Shorter. New president, Glary Shorter. The irony of this is Gary made these slides. So Gary is going to run for president again. Nick was open to running for vice president again. As we mentioned last month, Mr. Royer, after several years as a dutiful and diligent and honest treasurer, is going to retire. Mike is interested in running for treasurer. And then I know that Fred, WA8KOC, has expressed interest in running for the position of secretary.
Last name's not right. No L's.
Gary made the slides. That's all I can say.
Talk to him.
All right, yeah. Take that up with Gary. Gary,
I think
in fairness to Gary, he is ill.
it looks like he was. It's like he was adding L's all over the place.
So. The one thing I do want to say is this is not the only. If you have an interest in serving in a role, you are able to be nominated. You can be nominated tonight. That would be ideal. If not, you can express interest in running later. But if anybody's interested in running for office in any of these, the floor is open for nominations, and I will pause for everybody who wants to nominate.
Want to nominate you said?
No.
I nominate.
I am the manager of the technical committee.
I know.
I have embraced that role.
I know.
And we couldn't survive without you.
Any nominations? All right. Well, we do have until we send out the call for the meeting for March to add anybody to this. If you are interested, we do need someone else to nominate you, but we'll put your hat in the proverbial ring, so to speak. Any questions on either membership or elect? Yeah, Russ.
Make sure the person you're nominating wants to be nominated.
Yes, please don't nominate somebody who does not want to be an officer. All right, hearing nothing else.
Very good.
Wrong way. For those of you who are digital mode aficionados, like Nick, who when this doesn't work, sends me routine texts.
Rude?
Routine.
Oh, routine.
They're
Oh,
not
okay.
rude. They're just many texts. Did you fix it? It doesn't work. Did you fix it? We did have a failure of the radio board that was on 442.275. I swapped that out a couple days after it failed. I'm pretty sure it overheated because you really can't tell from this picture, but the blue wire was actually melted onto the case. Nice. Yeah, so something unfortunate happened to that board, and I did prop him up on a jackalope. That was actually a gift to me from John Wagner, NHCD, on one of his out west trips. It was a fake jackalope. So I propped it up on there to take the picture. We are going to be buying. So if you follow the digital repeater space at all, the Pi Star project has lurched back to life. They are going to be released. They've released one new version. There's a second one. I don't know if is it out. I know Aaron was following that. Is it out? Is 4.3 out?
Aaron.
Okay. So when 4.3 is out, we are going to get a brand new Pi with a new audio board. What's on there now is actually one I had in a bin of parts that I think came from the Rittman Water Tower when we tore that down. I think that's where it came from. It works, but it is probably, if it's what I think it is, it's older than that board was. So we're going to buy an all new repeater controller for 442-275, probably in March, and then get that installed. The nice thing is that'll add M17 support. So that's all I had for the tech committee. Any questions for the tech committee stuff? All right. Oh, I'm sorry. I jumped ahead. Build project. There's been some talk about wanting to do another build project. The one thing that's been proposed is a 20. I got to look into this. It says 20 amps on the purchase page, but it comes with 25 amp fuses.
The clear ones.
The clear ones are 25, so I need to find out. It's either a 20 or a 25 amp power block. It has 1 input, 5 outputs for Anderson power poles. The build would be about $65, I believe. This would be sort of an introduction to using power poles if you're not familiar with those, as well as a good exercise in soldering larger pieces, larger components onto PCBs. We would offer an option to purchase a crimper and do some practice crimps of Anderson power poles, learn how to assemble those properly. It's not that hard, but it's a useful skill to have. So that's one possibility. There was a discussion about maybe doing a direction finding Yagi, like the tape measure type antenna, but then Nor's came out. I guess they're doing a build like that, followed by a fox hunt. So we probably wouldn't duplicate that. But we did want to throw it open. Does anybody have any other suggestions for something they would like to see for the for a build project?
Go, Nick.
Yeah.
So, I'm trying to think of the brand. I just recently bought a digital pre-built like All-Star node, but they also sell them in pieces, so you can assemble and solder your own All-Star node with the board, everything like that. If I remember right, they were like I have a kit, but I plan to assemble another one to put into my car for this winter. Haven't got to it yet, but they make like the little Pi Zeros and everything. So you can buy the whole kit and assemble it. That might be worth looking into. I can double check the one that I got, see if they have like a bulk purchase price if you order them.
Okay. We can put that in the hopper to consider. Nick was saying there's an All-Star board that uses a Pi Zero and a little radio module as a hotspot.
So you can set that up, and then anybody that wants to do digital can have that to do that kind of digital stuff if they don't have it.
Yeah. Any other suggestions? All right. So we'll probably see this come out probably in the April. We'll probably do this in the April time frame, I'm thinking. So that was it for me. So I'm going to turn it back to you.
Cool.
Is that a kit or you
That's a kit.
does it come as a kit or do you have to buy all the stuff?
It comes as a kit.
Okay.
Jason, is that the only one that they offer? Power strip.
This is the only one I found that I'm sure of the design won't cause a fire. There was another one that had been passed to me that looked very nice, and it was less expensive, kind of, not a whole lot less expensive. But I was concerned because there's a calculation for how wide and thick the traces need to be to handle the power. It was supposedly rated for 30 amps, but the traces aren't the right size, so I scratched that one. If there's other, I mean, this was the easiest to assemble complete kit that had a well-designed trace set on the middle board to do the power handling. If there's other designs out there that comes with low assembly, you pass those along, but this one was well designed and comes with all the pieces already pre-cut and ready to go.
Cool, cool.
At least one of the kits don't have is it's got a way of fastening it down. There on the bottom board, that's very handy.
Yeah.
The soda beans kit I just put together does not have that.
So,
Cool.
Those are the potential build project options.
Good deal.
Oh wait, I guess I had one more topic, didn't I?
Well, what?
Are you going to handle this one?
Go ahead.
You're in the bus.
I know. I am driving the bus. So, Russ looked into a Hamvention bus trip for us, and found it to be quite cost prohibitive, I think. So let's just throw that number out there and see what people think, Russ.
For the bus ride alone, it's not going to be a coach, it's going to be a minibus. I don't believe there's,
A short bus?
Thank you, Jason.
the bus holds 28. I don't think there's any room underneath for storing big items to bring home.
Or me.
Or you, well, if you stay sober, you can sit in the seat with the rest of us.
That's a poke.
It holds 28. I believe we'd have to sell all 28 seats, and that would probably be about $161 for the trip and the entrance to Hamvention. It's going to be about $135 just for your bus seat alone. So what Gary wanted to do was see if anybody was interested. It'd be $161 or right around there, and no place to bring back anything big. And we'd have to sell out the bus.
So, what does everybody think about 160 bucks to go to Hamvention? Show of hands? Yes, Nick. Well,
No. It's double.
there you go. So it seems that the bus has become cost prohibitive, and I don't think there's a whole lot of interest in spending that much. I'm pretty sure if the people who are going want to get 3 or 4 people together in a car, that might be a better route to go.
One other thing, that was for the minibus. A coach was going to be over $5,000.
For how many people?
Well, they usually have about 50.
Okay, so still over 100 bucks a pop.
Yeah.
And we'd have to sell 100 of them,
Yeah,
or 50 of them, excuse me.
nobody's
But
gonna pay that.
what happened last time we had a bus and we didn't fill the seats?
The club ended up springing a couple $100 to subsidize the trip.
Okay. There you go.
Well, 2 people were at the last minute. That's how it happened.
So that's all it takes. So, all right, let's move on from Hamvention bus trip. Yep. All right, what's the next slide? I don't remember. All right, apparel sales. I was hoping John would be here, KE8UIB. Oh, there's his, should have looked up there for a reminder. Gary and John have been working on a spring apparel sales offerings, and this should be happening soon. It's not out there yet, but so far it's lightweight jacket, long sleeve t-shirts, short sleeve t-shirts, embroidered logo ball caps, sweatshirts and hoodies, embroidered golf shirts, vinyl decals, it looks. Any other items anybody's interested in real quick? I can pass that up the line. Tattoos? No tattoos. That's a little too permanent. But I kind of like the Gary is my president t-shirt. I like that idea.
What, impeach the president, what?
Gary is my president. AAHCS is my president, yes. And I'm thinking another t-shirt contest might not be a bad idea. The Barometer Net t-shirt contest went over very well. What you got, Scott?
It's not apparel, but it's merchandise. We should do stickers.
Okay, like the vinyl, okay, we could call it merchandise.
The club name.
Okay.
We did that years ago. We haven't done that since. That'd be
got it made down at the
Yeah, the
library.
stickers would be good. There's a good idea.
Pretty nice. Call sign tag.
Call sign tags, we get those from, who is that company?
Yeah, down in Louisiana. I mean, as part of this, we could do a group purchase to save on shipping, but it's, you can buy one now.
Yeah, you can just go order them.
That link's on the website, or, we can do a group buy. The club usually springs for the shipping costs, so.
All right.
You gotta pass them out and people don't show up to meetings and get them yourself.
Good deal. Look for that shortly. Yes.
Button-down shirts. What is
Okay.
golf shirts? I don't golf.
Well,
I'm not taking it up.
all right. You want button-down shirts. You want something you can wear to a semi-formal occasion, like a club meeting. All right. I can pass that along, Keith. All right. Cool. What we got next? Okay. The OCF dipole build was a good time. This was the second round of it. And we got pretty much everybody who was there in the photos, I think, close to it. It was a good time. All of the antennas tuned up right, or at least went the right direction. It was a good time. We had fun there at Gary's, and this is the after party. So.
Gary kind of contracted COVID. Is that?
No, I was there. I'm okay.
I was too, but I'm
See? So yeah, a good time was had by all. We have a lot of fun with those things, and we get some work done. You learn some stuff, and you go home with whatever you build. It's a good time. That's it, isn't it? Any questions? Anybody around the room?
Is that the end of the presentation? Oh.
There you go. I said short and sweet.
Oh, so I do, for the 50-50, I do real quick.
Yes.
So can I come up?
Have at it. Where's the talking stick? There you go.
I love that. The talking stick. This is just me, just to let you guys know. I always like to bring out people that are like with us and, and really good people. I know they didn't want me to say anything, but the JAXs, this is their last meeting because they're going down to Florida. And they have been good people on almost every morning. They check in. And from back in the day when you walked the first dog, and what was the first one? But you'd call it the walk in the park or something like that. Yeah, and that was the first time I heard them, and they've been with us this whole time. So all I want to say is you guys have a great time down there in Florida. We're going to miss you immensely. But they said they'll check in, and they'll pay their dues. So that's the most important thing.
I'm going to miss you guys. And on my way here today, I got to the nature preserve, and I was going to go for a 40-minute walk or so on my way here. And I got out about 2.5 minutes, and I turned around and went back to the car. And one of the things I was thinking that is that Rod and Wendy do this every morning. And then they stand around for 10 minutes waiting to get checked in. So you guys are going to be missed. Let's hear it for the Jackses. Thanks, folks. So what we got, there we go. What do you got there, Russ?
We got $101 for the winner.
Wow. And you pulled my ticket, right? Okay. Yeah, I'm going to call party foul if it's Dick again. Oh, well, yeah, then that's okay.
All right, here it goes. I can't see. Somebody got all the lights out.
No one wanted to see me on YouTube, Russ.
001563.
Oh, come on. Who bought the tickets after me? Who was after me, Russ?
001563.
563. Woohoo! Mark.
Let's see that thing.
Yeah, leave it to Phil to demand proof. Whoa.
Anybody didn't sign in?
All right. Congratulations there, Mark.
Can I do a recheck?
Yes.
What was your suggestion? The oscilloscope. Yes. There's 2 oscilloscopes over there. They can't go back home with me, so please take one. They're free. They work?
And there's one. There we go. All right, we're going to take a short break, a very short break, 5 minutes or so. And then N8 LTR is going to do So You Want to Put Up a Tower. Woohoo! So. N8LTR is going to do his So You Want to Put Up a Tower presentation. I do have one quick announcement before we start that, if we would please.
My wife, Roseanne, would like to thank everybody that sent their thoughts and prayers to her. She's doing better. She's at home, at least. And yeah, you guys are great. You're all great, and we really sincerely appreciate it. And our prayers go out to Tom and Linda for Linda's hassles she's having right now, health-wise. Thanks, guys. Really means a lot.
Thank you, Fred.
All right. Without further ado, I've got the most important part of the presentation, my hot coffee, and the dog and pony show items we'll get to later.
Do you want to do it, or do you want me to do it?
Why don't you just key it? Okay. All right, go ahead. I'm going to do a short introduction on myself. Some of you may not know me. I've been with Sarah for about 3 years, just after I retired, and then we went right into COVID, and we went on to remote and computers and all that stuff, and no meetings. But anyway, I'm a retired project manager, mechanical engineer, 40 years for the petrochemical industry. I was first licensed as a novice in 1979 at Michigan Tech, where I was a student at the time. Later on, I got my Tech Plus and advanced both in the year 1990. Spent 5 years and as past president of the Midland, Michigan Amateur Radio Club. And if there were hats available, I wore every one of them in that club. SWAT manager, field day manager, repeater trustee, and we did about 6 or 7 runs and benefit types of things per year, and a big one called the Dow Run. We had timing nets and just a very, very busy period in my life. Go ahead, Jason. Okay, towers. These are towers that I either had a big part in designing and specifying or actually helped with the installation. There's quite a laundry list. I'm not going to run through them all, but I've been doing it for a long period of time and professionally as well. We put 4 towers in, actually Universal Towers out of Mount Clemens, Michigan, for the Homeland Security. At the time, I was working with a plant that was priority 1 affected by Homeland Security after 9/11, and we had no plant closed circuit TV system. So, boy, they showered us with cash, and I got busy. So we put one of those in. Okay, we're going to talk about ham towers tonight. If you're building a 300-footer on 16 acres, take my hat off to you. But that's not what most of us are going to be dealing with. So we're going to talk about our average towers on our average city lots or whatever, 30 to 90 feet. That's the kind of the size range. Outside that realm, things are getting serious enough. You probably want to pull some engineering help on board anyway. And below that, it's not a big issue. First thoughts. It's not going to be cheap, not going to be quick, and it's not going to be easy. Putting up a tower is a big undertaking. It's not a 5-minute job. Proper planning and funding, and I emphasize funding, are the keys that are going to make this safe and successful. So, in red, do the homework first. There's time to buy the tower sections later and order up the concrete, but the background work is really important. So, let's start with radio and usage. 1 antenna is our plan for this tower. What am I going to do with it? And next thing, where's it going to go? How long might that cable run be? I've got a whole 500 feet out the back, but boy, that's an awful lot of cable for VHF. Do I need a rotor? If so, I'm going to have to size that properly. And am I going to put any sidearms out on the tower? Some of these are a big no-no, but they can be done if done safely. And then, big one with us, no ham sticks with existing antennas for more than about 2 minutes and 30 seconds, then we want something else. So if you're putting up a tower that you size it for a Cushcraft A3S, but you really got in mind this Mosley TA34XL, size it for the Mosley. Site and logistical questions are a biggie. Above ground power lines, probably first and foremost. I do not have photographs, but I have seen towers in my history that are absolutely scary where they put them. I had one guy put up a 48 foot of heights, and he was literally 6 feet from his aerial lead-in. Homeowners Association, if you have one, better get them involved. There may just be no is their answer. Height above average terrain kind of makes you need to know what's my elevation? If I'm down in a hole and I want to get that repeater, how much power am I going to need to get there? Then again, if I'm on a hilltop near the airport, I can get by with 40 feet. City ordinances, zoning boards, any required documents. Some places require a full bore engineering study. Those don't come cheap. Any restrictions to putting up a tower? Again, we're going to go back to, township, the neighbors, your XYL, your insurer. Yeah. All these things have got to come, they come into the mix, they come into the equation. Again, this is why I talk about do your homework first. Get this stuff all answered before you phone up Bill at Universal or Dave down at Heights and place an order. I recommend doing an overhead. This is my home, about 2 miles due west of Akron-Canton Airport. I have 44-foot freestanding with guys on it, but it is freestanding. I have my 50-footer. This is the one I did last year that I had problem getting the concrete. That was on the net many times. And this one I'm recruiting a work crew for. This is my 60-footer that's going up this fall. This is a big one. It'll be a 30-inch base, 7 yards of concrete, and that was going to hold if it works, a Cushcraft ATB 34 that I was gifted, and 6 elements on 6 meters, and a pair of phased Mosley boomers for 2 meters. So let's talk a little bit about types of towers. Freestanding, what it says. Freestanding tower, self-supporting, same thing. A subgroup of that is telescoping. Very nice. Like it says, bring money. These are really, really hideously expensive. Guide towers. We all know what a guide tower is. They're probably the cheapest for a given height. Structure supported means I got a nearby barn, pole barn, I got a side of the house. I'm going to bolt it to something and use it for the main tower support. There's some other specialty. Roan has some breakover, fold-over towers, go up about 40 feet. The top 40 feet folds down, but we can't get into those, can't cover them all at once. This is a typical freestanding tower. This is my old home in Port Huron, Michigan. This is a 50-foot, very heavy-duty universal tower with an A3, and the Mosleys are up there, and 17-foot of diamond. And so that's an example of a freestanding. Jason. This is an example of a structure-supported tower. You see the bracket right there. There may be 1, 2, or 3, depending on how big the tower is, how tall it goes. It's bolted to something. That's structure-supported. A guide tower are all these. Okay, your major tower manufacturers. I'm going to miss a few of them. There's a bunch. I'm going to hit the big boys that we are used to dealing with for the most part. Roan, everybody knows Roan. The 20G, 25G and 45G are the ones that hams are most likely to use. Universal out of Michigan. Roan is steel. Michigan is, Universal is aluminum. These guys been in business for about 75 years. Universal's about 50 years. Heights is about 50 years across 2 locations. They were in Flint, Michigan up to 1995. The company went under, then resurfaced, and it's a new company now. One thing about Heights, the 2 towers, if you have, if GXX is in here, Tom and I both have old Heights tower sections. They do not fit anything that the new Heights company makes, completely different. So if you got old Heights sections, they're orphans. You can't get new ones, so go find somebody that's got. And Heights makes self-supporters, guys, and crank-ups. Tower, they're also out of Florida. They also make aluminum, and they make guide towers and guide crank-ups. They do a lot of military, police, tower on a trailer type stuff. They do a lot of that. They're real big into that. Okay, we get into materials now. This is always a good bone of contention on the nets. People talk one versus the other. Aluminum, much lighter. Aluminum towers are going to have a larger size for the load. If I got X load, I can do that with maybe 11-inch steel. Probably going to need 14-inch aluminum to do the same thing. Aluminum will have longer life. It forms an oxide on the surface, at which point the corrosion mechanism on aluminum stops. That oxide protects the tower. Don't have to paint it. I choose to paint it because I want to make the tower disappear and make my neighbors happy. So I paint my towers. Aluminum is a lot easier to install because of the weight. It's also more money. So chicken and egg, but the steel is 250% heavier than aluminum. It is stronger. You will eventually fight rust, and it's the commercial preference. I mean, Marty can tell you most of the commercial towers, if not all of them, they're going to be steel. They may be great big wide things, and there are companies that just deal in the commercial tower segment. We're talking about the guys that serve the ham radio operators here. Okay, sizing the tower. This says no. It does not say guess. Know all of your anticipated loads. If you got an antenna, you're not quite sure what it is, it's a great big XY, I'm not sure who gave it, find out somebody who does know what it is and can find the old literature and tell you whether or not you're dealing with 4 square feet or 7. It makes a big difference when you're picking out a tower. Never, never, never assume. Always use the manufacturer's data off the tower, or off the antennas when you're looking at loads. People will guess, oh, that's, the Mosley just looks like the TA30. Yeah, the Mosley version of a Cushcraft A3S is about 3 square feet more, antenna for antenna. Tubing's a lot bigger, boom's a lot bigger, to say nothing of the weight for those of us who are Mosley owners. Eat your Wheaties. Okay, add a square foot for the rotor, add 1 square foot for the mast. If you got a dipole hoist, oh, this isn't nothing. This is something. This is half a square foot of wind area. This happens to fit an 18-inch universal that's going to go up this fall at my place, so I'm one jump ahead. I've got the dipole hoist done. But every little thing, you've got a box with a ballon that big in it, better add a 1/4 square foot for that. Don't leave anything out. It all adds up. You can't cheat Mother Nature. It's just like the old commercial. You can't fool Mother Nature. Allow for sighting. Okay, so when I'm going to size a tower, sighting is if I'm on the east side of Arlington, I'm down in a hole. If I'm on the west side of Arlington, I'm up on a ridge line. A 30-foot tower in both conditions going to be sized a lot different. If for 10 square foot, I can get away with a maybe 12 to 15 square foot. Up here, I'm going to get a 20 square footer because I've got gusts and things that can roar over the top of the ridge line. You're going to get a lot more. If you're subject to wind blasts, allow for the sighting. Allow for gusts. This is a biggie. Ice. We do get ice storms once in a while, and on freestanding towers, it's a real important thing. Roan catalog, or the Roan online, has got a lot of data in the engineering section, talks about ice. They can talk about how much their towers are derated for ice, even a 1/8 of an inch of radial ice or a 1/4 inch of radial ice. Ice has the capability to really go haywire with your wind load, your weight, and the stress on the tower all at once. So I hedge my bets a little bit. What I have, this is Philistran. This is one size bigger than it's on my current tower. But I have 3 guys that come down the tower, and they stay right against the legs, and they're taped at the bottom. And those are my get out of jail guys. So if I get, Channel 5 weather or Channel 3 weather says we've got big ice storm coming in with 60-mile-an-hour winds, I go out and I detach those guys, and I have 3 established points in the yard where I'm going to go tie that tower off. So if you get a really extreme condition coming in, we're forecast for a derecho at 4 o'clock today. I'm going to go hook things up. If the odd 100-mile-an-hour gust that I haven't designed that tower for, you can build all this into your design. Tower gets expensive. So I tend to use my little get-out-of-jail Philistran guys, cheap insurance. I'm going to pass that around for those of you who have not ever seen Philistran. It's basically Kevlar with an urethane jacket on it, ultraviolet proof, very nice. I wouldn't use anything to guy a tower except Philistran because it will not bother your 80-meter antenna. Steel guys are guaranteed. You've got high SWR on the 80, and you move the 80-meter antenna all over the place trying to find a spot where the guys aren't beating off your antenna. All goes away when you use this. And this stuff, lightning doesn't care that it's there. It misses it. Okay, the bottom line is stay conservative. So, go into the manufacturer's tables. Typically, all the manufacturers rate their tower 80 miles an hour unless they, note it, Roan's a little bit different. They start at 70, but they have charts for everything. Just follow. And like in Heights and Universal and Illumitower, assume 80 miles an hour unless said otherwise. Go to their websites, take a look, find the height and load combination that works. And this is the thing I wanted to flag, so I put it in the note here. Roan and the current Heights company, they're built to national codes. Okay, so those of you who are engineers and know anything about national codes, what are national codes full of? Fat factors. Safety factor into that equation on top of this one, on top of that one. You can multiply them all together and you got a massive safety factor built in the tower. So for a given Heights tower and a Universal tower, you'll have the Heights tower will probably weigh 3 times as much aluminum in that tower because it complies with all national codes. But the Universal and Illumitower, those towers are rated at yield. Yield to the uninitiated, that's where the tower falls over, it breaks. Now, is that a problem? No. As long as I know that they rate it that way, I can design for it. You just have to know where do they rate the tower. Now, I don't want to add fat factor onto a Heights tower, or the thing is going to take, an army of high school football team to get it into my yard. But these, I'm going to do that because they're rated at failure. So if you have a, we'll get to a slide here in a minute, and I'll pick it up. Here it is. This is a cut sheet from Universal in Mount Clemens, Michigan. Model 15-40, 15 square feet at 40 feet at 80 miles an hour and no gusts. However, at 100 miles an hour, 10 square feet. At 110 miles an hour, 7 square feet. This goes back to sighting and gusts and how high, how exposed are you? I always use the 100 mile an hour rating when I use Universal towers, and there's a couple reasons I don't like Illumitower, so I don't go there. But I typically use the 100 mile an hour rated, so 10 square feet is what I would put on this tower as a maximum, with added up all the loads like we talked about earlier. If you go to Universal catalog cut sheet, what you'll find is this. Okay, here's their model numbers, their heights, and here's the 3 wind load ratings that was on the prior cut sheet. and how much the tower weighs and the makeup of sections that compose the tower. So it's pretty easy. If you calculate out, hey, I've got 15 square feet at 30 feet, too much for 12, I'm going to need a 2130. So, okay, fine. I need a 22, 18, 14 for 3 sections, and a B22 base. And you call that order in. This is the old Heights catalog cut sheet. The new one is not available in paper, it's only online. They work a little bit different. You find your tower load here, and then you find your height down along here, and then it tells you what sections and how many to get to that point. Okay, so installing, I'm going to wet my whistle here a minute. Okay, freestanding, typically on a hinged base, so the tower will fold over just like this. Telescoping towers kind of work the same. They sit up a little higher and then they fold down, and they have what you call a fold over kit. Go ahead to the next one. Now, telescoping towers, a word of warning. US Tower is one of the manufacturers. They make steel, and Heights makes aluminum. One of the slides in here talked about bringing money with a Heights tower with a crank up, and yeah, serious. I have a quote with me that I got just about the time I joined Sarah. I was looking at a 3-section, 40-foot crank up tower, about 15 square feet, motorized fold-over kit, motorized up and down. $15,000 was the price, $2,500 delivery. So, and that was 3 years ago, pre-COVID. We know what Biden inflation has done the last 3 years, right? I don't even know what that tower costs today, but I assure you it's not cheap. And I've seen some gentlemen that have got 80-foot fold-over crank-ups realize they've got $55,000 and $60,000 in those setups.
Bill, right over here.
Can we hold questions to the end? Okay, guide towers, typically stick-built with gin pole or a rental crane and a climber. Guides are periodically installed as the tower rises because they're typically a constant section and it won't support swinging it up. Okay. And structure supported, it kind of varies. How you're going to get these up, it might be stick-built with a gin pole, it might be a guy flying in on a bucket or a man basket on a crane. It can vary. Too many different ways to cover it with that. We have some photographs of how I put my self-supporters up in a few minutes. Self-supporters, the foundation, is a major component of your self-supporter. It's got to be done properly, I'd say critically. A rebar cage is an absolute must. You should have at least 3,000-pound concrete and a 28-day cure time. If it's colder than 55 degrees, take it out to 38 days before you start doing anything with it. Plumb alignment and fixation is critical. You could be out a quarter bubble at 10 feet where your levels are. Time you get up to 50 feet, how did I get out 9 inches? It's a great big multiplier arm. You're off a little bit down here, that turns into a whole lot up there. It's really critical on a self-supporting tower to get the bubble levels perfect. Excavation, you're going to do that to the required width, depth for the foundation for the legs that you're using. Depending on what kind of soil you have, you may need shoring. You're going to need the rebar cage around the legs. You're going to need formwork. You're going to get concrete either direct from a truck, or you're going to have to rent a concrete buggy, or for those of you who got big money, get a pumper truck. And if you're using a sonotube, you'll have to build a chute to get the concrete from the buggy into that round form without flooding it all over the ground. So I figured that out at the 11th hour, 59th minute, and had to build a concrete chute. Then you'll get a pencil vibrator for consolidation. Consolidation is a fancy word that's making the concrete go tight around all the rebars and all your steel bits that are in there for reinforcement. In the engineering world, those are called embeds, E-M-B-E-D-S. And you have to use the pencil vibrator to get the concrete to flood up and contact those solidly on the bottom. It helps to bring the air out of the concrete. Don't overdo it. It's a little bit of finesse. So find a concrete man that can help you the first time you do this. If you've never used a pencil vibrator, you know, Keith can tell you it's a little bit of an artwork. Okay, raising the tower. Install everything. You get a couple options. I like to do this one. I install everything and I do all my weight calculations and I pull it up carefully. Other people like to pull the tower up bare with just the mast extended and then fly the antennas up to it and have a climber up there and do it. You can use a rigging or derrick for lifting or a tow truck, or if you got money, a rental crane. I'm not going to go a lot into it because it's so unique. For each setup is different depending on what you have to assist with this and how much you might have to beg, buy, build, or rent. So it's got to be done on a case-by-case basis. Costs. All right, this is the not-so-fun part of this presentation. This is my own example of the tower that I put up November last year. We're assuming that you don't own anything. This is going to be new ham, grassroots to the hobby, and hey, I've got to buy everything and I want to put up a lot of capability I want to put up HF, I want to put up VHF stuff, a couple of VHF beams, antennas, and how far am I from the shack? In this case, 150 feet to the top of the tower. Antennas, rotors, and feed lines can run you between $2,000 and $6,000. Your basic tower is good. This is going to run around $2,000. And again, shipping, this is why I stay away from the Florida manufacturers. They can make good stuff, it's expensive. But if anybody has shipped since COVID set in, you know what shipping costs have done since COVID. They're out of sight. So to get a 50-foot tower telescoping up from Heights I had a quote for $3,500 2 months ago. Just nuts. So it can be a huge adder. I like working with Mount Clemens, Michigan. I can drive up there in my pickup and get it. It costs me gas and toll charges. Rental equipment, concrete buggy, pencil vibrator. You may need some other things. Your excavator haul-away charges. You probably don't want the dirt on your lot if you're in the city. That'll run you some. Consumables. Consumables, if you look at PMBOK, which is Project Manager's Book of Knowledge, anything that goes into the project that does not remain part of the project. Visqueen, nails, your concrete formwork, your treated wood for that, and anything like that. It's part of the project, doesn't remain with the project, is what you need to get you there. Landscape repair, you're going to have some. Concrete is hugely expensive. It's gone up terrible since the first, so it ran, in this case, about $2,000. And grounding, grounding is such a big furball that there's not really time here to cover it. You need to do it. There's enough material, Jason could attest to this, for a whole other presentation, and we'll probably do one in several months. We'll talk about grounding. But you need to allocate for it. Okay, this was the tower earlier I installed in Michigan. This is 230s, 226, a 22, and an 18-inch top section with a 12-foot by 3/8 wall mast, and one of the 6-meter beam is on the side of the garage, and the tri-bander's out back. And I like to put pads along the side of the garage there, and this is that's my lifting tower. That's basically some old Heights TV tower, and you can see the lifting cable coming down to pick that thing up and haul it in the air, and I got a big 2-speed boat winch to do that. So that's how I got that. And that tower is backstayed, back guide to take the forces and negate them at the top of the tower.
Bill, excuse me.
Oh, yeah, I'm not transparent. So I will move a little bit. Okay, this was the excavation for the tower last year. We did the excavation. The excavator got a little carried away. I only needed 2 cubic yards of concrete for this tower. I wound up using damn near 4 because he got a little energetic with the bucket, and it was just easier to use the extra concrete and deal with it that way. I'll show you what these slots are for in a minute. Safety first, always get that hole barricaded. I put some blaze orange tape around there later. This is the formwork that I built to go in there. This is 2x12s braced. You want to build this stuff heavy. Remember, you're going to hit this with thousands of pounds of concrete that's moving at speed out of that bucket. Last thing in the world you want is this stuff to break or nails to pull apart. This is all put in with 3.5-inch deck screws. It basically nuclear proof. That's how you want this. Dropped in the hole and covered with visqueen here. One thing, back up a minute, Jason. One thing in a minute, you'll see pea gravel down here. This whole thing is bedded in pea gravel. The object is that form is going to take the weight of the tower, lifting the entire first tower section and rebar cage off the dirt floor of your hole. So you want that to not deflect a bit. You can put a level on here always. You put it this way, that way, then go diagonal, and you should be able to stand on that edge and not see this deflect at all. If that's the case, then you've got the proper amount of support under it. So now it comes the fun time. This is building the rebar cage for the 22-inch base. I assemble a section, leave it on a high sawhorse with the legs out, and I start just laying in the bars. We're going to tap through the slides. Next layer of bar, next layer of bar, next layer of bar, next layer of bar. Getting close now, and there we all done. There's probably 65, 70 pounds of steel in all that in a month to get that done properly. When you tie these up here, fold the wire over, spiral it together, flip that around, tighten it, do another one, tighten it on the other axis, do a third one as a basket style, which is back up, over, and weave. You want that joint rigid. You want to be able to take that cage and dunk it on the ground and not have it bend. That cage will hold that foundation together. If Mama Nature decides to give a super strike to your tower and crack the foundation, it will keep the tower upright. It will keep the steel and the concrete all together until you can get the tower down and get things replaced. It also assists in grounding. This is KEA TQR's base. He had a 26-inch sections. Mine were 22. Keith did a beautiful job on this. Very just precision work. Mine's a little sloppy because I'm a little sloppy. Keith did a real yeoman's job on this. Very, very nice. Took 2 months to get it done. There's a lot of time, and your hands and wrists are going to ache every night because tightening that wire is work. I chose to move mine over to the hole by a 10-foot long cart. Really worked great. Set it on the cart and just rolled the thing along, pushed on this end of it. Got it near the hole, and then 3 men and a boy, we dunked it in the hole. And here it's sitting on the dirt at the bottom of the hole. We have attachment points here, and we put a support structure above it and lift it up until that point on the tubes is level with the top deck, which is where your concrete's going to be. That's your fill point on these universal tower legs. So, next shot. Here, I'll pass these around. These are $5.50 at Menards. Put 3 of them on. They help enormously in figuring out where your level is on the tower. Pouring day. Okay, so here's the rental concrete buggy. and we are pouring concrete over the top of the other beam, which I won't do again. It was my construction manager's idea, and I didn't like it because things sprung too much. Keith's on one end. This is the concrete chute that we helped to get it down in the hole. We did some on this side, and we're doing the other side in this shot. Pencil vibrator. This is my construction manager for Marathon, Don, and he is getting the vibrator going to get it around the cage as the concrete lifts up, as we dump load after load. It took 8 trips with a concrete buggy to get the requisite amount of concrete in. And here we are doing a little filling carefully using the chute, and Don's still working this side of it with the vibrator. With a support system on this thing, I've got 2 sets of 6-ton jack stands and 4x4s, which turned out to be not strong enough. So in Keith's tower later, we used 4x6s run the hard way. Much better. It was much stiffer and took out some of the bounce that I had in this one. And Don's doing edge finishing here. And you know, this stuff you can come see after the presentation. It's typical concrete edging tool, but you're going to have to buy these to make sure you got a nice edge and you have a nice looking form or concrete block in the backyard when everything is said and done. And there we are, all done. That was a good hard day's work, and that thing sat there for, it took about 6 months before we were ready on all the other stuff to get things going. So jumping forward 6 months, and here's the 50-foot assembly with 5 elements on 6, 9 elements on 2, 22 elements on 440, and a Hustler G7 at the top. A rotor from my Elmer that I got rebuilt on the tower, and all of the LMR 600 run down the center of the tower. And the rigging was a 4-to-1 pulley system that I had back to a beam, and there it did. And she flew on 11/15. Now on 11/15 in Michigan, that's the opening of deer season. So this is a travesty to put up a tower on the opening of deer season, but it's what I wound up doing. And in the background is the 44-foot tower is in the back there in beige. We'll look at that one just in a minute. Cables come down, 4 LMR 600s. This is the ground bus. So the cables come down. Their polyphasers are underneath this channel. There's a whole group of them there that are tied to the channel. Then the grounding straps go through there on a solid aluminum block clamp and then down into the ground system. We'll talk about grounding later. And that's the equipment stack that drives the tower. 4 Alinco FM, and then this is for UHF, VHF sideband, and the amplifiers for it. This was the tower I did 2 years prior, where Gary started bugging me, you need to do a tower presentation. We did this one with a sonotube. Sonotubes, most of them are like this when you go to Home Depot, Lowe's, but they do come big. And this is a 30-inch. This is the foundation, the old tower section in there rusted out. It was 40, 50 years old at that time. So we had it deflected, we had to pull it out and do some repair work. So I was busy excavating here. This is right in the middle of COVID, and it took 3 months of hand digging to do this. I could only work between 7:30 and like 10 in the morning, and then it got too hot, too steamy to work. So this is an inverted mushroom style. So it's a very, very strong lock into the surrounding ground. And it's a 5-foot stick that's down in there. And then the mushroom goes underneath about 1 foot all the way around. So there's the sonotube with the rebar cage going in. This one, we didn't go overboard. I kept this kind of modest. And we stuck the thing in the hole again. We have a bridge support for it. And I have shims on both ends of this to get the alignment where I wanted it. Okay. And here we're all ready to pour a concrete chute, which was necessary for a round foundation design. We had that in place, and that all had to get shoved in with a shovel. And I ordered 1.5 yards of concrete, and I had half a pail left. That was not intentional. I got so lucky, it was crazy. I calculated that at 1.3, but I guess the inverted mushroom was bigger underneath than I thought, and we used every bit that that truck had, but it fit, and I was really thankful we had just enough to finish. So that's the rental buggy. That's part of the rental equipment you're going to need if you do this yourself. And there's my construction manager again, and Fearless Fred, our morning net control, helped out on that tower, and I thank him immensely for doing that. That's the business end. Now, I was a bit of a geek. I needed an 18-inch base, so these are 2 universal bases grafted to 3 old height sections, and they do fit. So I crafted 2 10-footers and 3 8-footers and put my 6-meter stick and the morning antenna net for the barometer net's that one. And then I cranked that thing in the air also mid-November, 2 years prior of 21. That tower does have guys on it, but it doesn't need it. This is freestanding at 44 feet with about a 5-foot wind load at the top. And the big tower will go on the side of the garage this fall, so that's going to be a good one. So, summary sheet. A tower is a substantial project requiring significant pre-planning, again, do your homework, and time investment. The overall project cost is significant. Budgeting for a few years for the run-up helps. Safety is paramount. Don't ever get under a raised load. If that tower is up on the winch, everybody's out from underneath it. And with all other areas of ham radio, ask for help from Elmer's, peers, your ham buddies, the guys that got you your license. Ask for help. So credits, I'm going to credit Don O, who is my construction genius, Keith, Keatqr, and Fred that helped with the 2 tower projects, and I will take questions. He was there and now gone.
Dick had a question, didn't you, Dick? Dick just couldn't see. That looks familiar.
Yeah, that looks familiar. This was Keith. Keith was terrified we were not going to get his tower up. It was just 2 of us, and we managed to get it up just fine. And the best thing in the world was Keith is off picture here on his John Deere tractor with his head cranked right over his shoulder, looking at the tower go up, and he had eyes about the size of sauce, big old plates, and just like, look at that thing go up in the air. The fun part is when we get that aluminum overcast of an antenna of his and the other 20 feet flying this spring. That will be really something. And that one I will have some dedicated photographers because he truly does have a behemoth of an HF antenna that he's going to be putting on that thing. So any questions?
How much does if you have like the side supported one, like building supported one, how much does that change the base, or not really at all?
Quite a bit. The base is very petite on those. It's generally a 2x2. It has a small rebar cage because it's all straight section tower, like a 14-inch for a Roan 25 or 12.5. So it's a small concrete foundation. It's not the size of the self-supporters. Those are there for overturn moment. And the foundations that are specified by the self-supporting people, Universal, if that foundation was pulled out of the ground and set on your driveway with the tower attached, it's still good for a wind load at 80 miles an hour. It doesn't need to be buried. They take no credit for the ground bearing strength. So those foundations, are they oversized a little bit? Yeah, they are, but it's not a bad thing. Concrete in the scheme of the whole project is relatively cheap. So For the next owner of my house, they're going to be commenting about what kind of psychopath lived here, but we won't talk about that right now. That's down the road, and I'm not going to care at that time anyway. So, all right. Any questions down the road? If any of you do get into a tower, holler.
So I was at Roan today looking, and their specification was for a clay soil, which is far from what I have. It's more like it's glacial backfill. So it's like a lot of sand.
Right. You have what you have. Now, you're going guide or self-supporting?
Self-supporting.
Okay, so you're using HDBX?
I have no plan. I mean, that.
Okay. Yeah, if you're looking at a Roan HDBX, what they're concerned about is bearing load. They probably want something obscene like 4,000 PSF. You're not going to get it. You get it in my soil. My soil is 50% rock and clay. Its bearing strength is out of sight. I know, I dug through it. So the only thing that I would do with yours is maybe bring the bottom out a little wider, another foot all the way around on the bottom, kind of like the inverted mushroom that I had on the other one, because you want a bigger contact patch. So, and we get down to that point, come see me, we can sketch out a little modification to their standard foundation design. Yeah, it's not that you're not going to go put a tower in because you don't have the soil that they wanted. So rather than help you out and say there's this foundation for this much, they want what they want because they want it. Roan was really into a ton of lawsuits 30 years ago, and they're kind of anal today as a result. Okay. Do you want to close this up?
Sure thing.
All right.
Thank you very much, Bill. The talking stick. I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. And Bill, that was a great presentation. And everybody think happy thoughts at Gary and Roseanne and Tom's Linda. So everyone, thanks for being here. Have a great night. This meeting is adjourned.